video on product and quotient rules. Okay, so first of all, we're going to go over the product rule. Okay, so what is the product rule? That's basically when you're, if f, a function, and g, another function, are differentiable, so we're going to assume or know that these two are differentiable functions, we'll call them functions, then we know that fg, so the product of them, so f times g, is differentiable, okay? And furthermore, the derivative of f times g, so we'll say prime of x, let's say, if f is f of x and g is g of x, so if you do f times g, so that prime is going to equal the following. We're going to have the first, okay, so that'd be f, just the normal function, times the derivative of the second, okay, so g prime of x, plus the derivative of the first times the original function of the second, okay? So a simpler way to write this, and you can always, again, because there's this addition sign here and it's not subtraction, you can always switch the order of these two, okay, these two terms. So you could write f prime of x first times g of x plus f of x times g prime of x. That's just the same, right? Because there's that addition sign there. So anyways, another way to write this, a simpler way that I like to remember, is if you have functions like u and v, and the derivative of their product, of the product of u and v, is u v prime plus u prime v. I just like it when it's, this is like a simpler way of writing it. I think that things are simpler and easier to remember when they have less letters, just in general, you know. So anyways, so this is a simple way of writing it, and above you see the formal way of writing it with x's and all. Okay? Alright, so let's do an example of the product rule. So what we're going to do is find the derivative. So find derivative of, and so let's see what we have. L of x is equal to x cubed times 5x minus 3. Okay, so let's identify what's going on here. So technically we could just distribute the x cubed into each of these terms, but what we're going to do instead is use and apply the product rule that we just learned. Okay, so we're going to make this one be our u function, and this is going to be our v function. Okay, so let's remember that simple rule. So if we have the product of u and v, which are both functions, and we take the derivative, what we're going to get is u v prime plus u prime v. Okay, so let's find out what this is. So the derivative of L of x, so of both of these, of u times v, right? L of x is u times v. L prime of x is going to be this thing, which is going to be u. So we just we copy down u, so that's an x to the third. And then we have v prime, so that means the first derivative of v. So that would be, first derivative would be d dx, because we're deriving with respect to x, because we're dealing with an x here, with x's as our variable. Okay, so this is d dx of 5x minus 3. This is the same thing as v prime. Okay, so I'll just label it. This is u. Right now, this is v prime. Let's move on to the second term. So we're going to add a u prime. So what is u prime? That would be d dx of x to the third. Okay, so this is u prime. And then this is multiplied times our normal v, our original v. Okay? So now all we have to do is simplify these parts, the first derivative parts, right? So we get the L prime of x is equal to x to the third, just stays there, out in front, okay? And then we have the derivative with respect to x of 5x minus 3. So this is going to be, this is a linear function, right? So we just pull out the slope. So that would be a 5, okay? And then we have plus, and then how we're going to derive this one is using the power rule. So we're going to take that power and write it down in front as a coefficient. And then we have x to the 3 minus 1, which is a 2. Okay, and then we have our 5x minus 3 there at the end. Okay, so now that we have this, we can just simplify the rest of the way. So we have a 5x to the third plus, let's see, we have 15x to the third minus a 9x squared. Okay, so now let's combine those last two terms, and we get that our final L prime of x, our first derivative of our given L of x function, is going to be a 20x to the third minus 9x squared. Okay? So that is it. That's how we use the product rule.